So hi guys, in this issue we're going to be assembling the upper left arm. This is it here, and we're also going to do a finger. Let's see how I got on. So welcome to stage 79. This is parts left, second, brackets, middle, finger and arm. So let's go through the parts. We're going to need a lot of tweezers to pick these up. First of all, we have a second fingertip. Next we have the... can't find the part. We have got, right, 1, 2, 3, there we go. Right, so this is part B, this is metal, second finger part. Then we have two pieces that look very similar except for the length. So part 3 is a second finger part and part 4 is a second finger part. So you notice the difference in the length, otherwise they look the same. Part 5 is the second finger part. Then part 6 we have got finger joint connector pins. Now these are those smaller pins. These are the ones that I struggle with gluing in. But that's those there. And then part 7 is finger joint connector. So I put them on the hand together so that you can see the difference. You just pop those there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So piece 8 are very hard to see. These are plastic sleeve for finger joint. This particular finger is nothing we've never seen before, but it still needs to be done. So here is a new part, piece number 9, the left arm joint, and that's metal. And then we have piece 10. Now this looks like a bearing, but it's not. This is the left arm joint. Piece 11 is a washer. That's metal washer for the arm joint. And piece 12, there should be 2 of these. Yes, there are 2. These are very familiar parts. These are joint center parts times 2, and again nothing we've never seen before. Piece 13 is a socket liner. Now this I do not recall seeing before, but it is very small, so I'm going to have to be very careful how I store that. And then we have 2 types of screw. We have PM 3 by 10 millimeter, that's this screw there. And lastly we have PM 2 by 10 millimeter. So they're exactly the same, except that one is a little bit fatter than the other. Right, so let's crack on with this then. So step 1, we need to get the finger joints, and they go in the following order. Let me just sorry, I'm reading the instructions off the screen, which makes it a little bit tricky. So we want the end piece, the long piece, the short piece, and then the angled piece. So this is going to go that way. So we've got this little bit at the top there, and on to step 2. What we need to be doing is taking a pin, we pop on the plastic joint. Now I did have a problem, sorry, I said plastic joint, I meant plastic sleeve. I had trouble with this before on one of them. This is going to go into there like so. So if you have trouble getting that through, which I don't think I've got no problems there, but if you can't get that fully lodged, consider taking the pin out and pushing the sleeve in and then pushing the pin in. That's going to go in like that, and then we get some scrap and we get some glue. Give it a really, I've been having trouble with this glue lately. We'll see how it gets on with it today. What I'm finding is that I'm having to glue it on twice. So we want to get one of these pins, these are the short pins, and with our glue, a little bit of glue into the center hole there, and then we just pop that pin. What doesn't help is that these pins are quite shiny. It doesn't actually give the glue much to grab onto. Having said that, I think that's gone on fine. So check the still movement. Yeah. No. Okay, so if after a few seconds it doesn't grab, we'll reapply glue, but this time to the pin. Sometimes it just needs a little bit longer to set. I think that will take, that's a little bit, yeah, that's fine, but I think if we leave that, remember glue sets best if it's been given time. Right, so then we repeat that process with this one, only instead of coming in from the bottom, this time we come in from the top. So it's plastic sleeve over the pin connector, sorry, in like so. That goes in through the top. And that one's gone in quite simple, which is always a bonus. Apply the glue. This time I'm going to go straight in and apply glue to the pin as well. Hold that on for a few seconds, just make sure we've still got the movement. And that's got no connection at all, no sticky at all. Okay, I think this is my glue. It's not the part's fault. I think it just doesn't have a good surface to adhere to. But if we left that for long enough, now that looks odd to me. Do you see how the finger's coming up slightly? Let's have a look at another finger so we can do a comparison. And oh, that's actually fine. That's exactly the same. I never noticed that before. The finger seems to be working its way up. Let's see if that pin, yeah, that pin's stuck on fine. And so was the first one, and we've still got the movement. So on to the third connector, plastic sleeve. And because the connector came in from this side on this joint, it's going to come in from that side on the other. So that's going to come through the new part. And that's the easy way to remember it, is that the connector comes in, no it doesn't actually, it sometimes comes in a sorry, ignore me on that one. I thought I'd found a simple way to remember which direction the connector comes in, but it doesn't follow. Right, so that goes on to there like so. And not sure if I've got enough glue left on my container. A little bit of glue in there. Just remember that we're trying to get glue in and around the hole. If we get a little bit on the connector on the sleeve, that's fine, but what we do not want to do is get glue around the edge, because that will stop the finger from moving. Okay, and the last little bit of glue around the pin. So gel is definitely better for this particular task because it's a little bit thicker. So if you have a little gap, it will fill that gap, whereas liquid super glue will just run. Right, I'm going to leave that for a minute. I think that will stick. I think it just needs a bit of time. So the last thing we need to do then to finish that finger off is just to stick the fingertip on, and you can apply this straight from the bottle actually. A good, but not overly doing it, dollop on the top there, and that will go straight onto there like so, making sure you don't get any glue squidge, which I have not got. So check this pin, that pin is fine. So there we go, we've got full range of movement on those fingers. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so on to the next stage. I think we're finished with that finger for the moment. So the next step is that we want to take the piece from issue 78, which I cannot find. Yes, I can. Right, so if you remember, I put these together for storage reasons, which I didn't want to do for this stage. We just want this part out like this. So we take this piece and we take this little metal sleeve which is part 13, and that wants to go into there like so. Now that's not going to stay there, so you will need to secure it somehow. Bear with me because this is not making sense now. Right, so although it's telling us to put this in at this stage, I'm going to say not to, because the next stage we want to go back to this part, and it's asking us to remove this, which it asked us to put in earlier on. Remove the bar 74 from the upper arm assembly from issue 78. Note the difference in the size of the holes and the flanges at the end of part 73. 74.3. Oh, I see. So one is recessed. See there's a hole, and on there's a recess. That will take a countersunk screw. So fit the flanges of part 74. I see what's happening. Right, so we're going to fit the flanges onto here, and we want the recessed hole to be, so if we have this part here at the bottom, and then we can fit this with the so now what we want to do, this is going to be very awkward to do, isn't it? So we need to pop that sleeve in. We need to pop that in so that it holds that sleeve in place there. This is very hard to explain. And then we want to secure that with a PM 2x10mm screw. So what you'll probably find is that the screw will go all the way through the sleeve and all the way through the top part of the flange. There we go. So that screw has gone through the sleeve, through the top bit, but it's resting at the bottom, and then we just want to finish that off with a screwdriver. And I think I have the wrong head on there, so please forgive me and allow me to change my screwdriver head. Right, so I'm not sure, that doesn't feel like it wants to go in. So I've secured that in tightly, and you see we've got movement there because the screw has got this collar going around it. That's to stop it from scraping against the hole in the middle, but it's actually secured in the bottom there, so it's not going anywhere. So on to the next stage, which is to attach part 12. Take the joint center parts 12, apply a little super glue to the 4 pegs on one of the plastic washers and fit in place on the elbow joint as indicated, so that the 4 pegs fit into the sockets. So you see there you've got 4 pegs and you've got 4 holes there. That's going to go into there like so, and that's now going to struggle to get out again, because that is a really tight fit actually. I do actually question whether we need to apply super glue to these, because once they go in we're going to have something over the top of it and they're not going to fall out. I will glue them in because the instructions tell us to, but interestingly enough, this reminds me of a comment that I recently left on someone else's video. They said that they had test fitted a part and they struggled to get the part out again, and my comment to that was, if you struggle to get a part out after test fitting, that would be a suggestion that perhaps it was supposed to go in there in the first place. So the fact that I've just struggled to get that out, so I'm applying the glue directly to the part, not to the pegs. I just feel that would give me a better surface area contact. So long as there's no glue squidge, then that's fine. So the next step then is to turn it over, and we'll do the same with this piece. So again, we pop that in, that fits absolutely perfect, and again I'm struggling to get it out. Looks like I'm going to struggle more to get this one out than the last one. There we go. And we'll apply some glue like so, and there we go. So we've got these little connecting points. This is so that we can move the arms. Right, so the next step then is to bring back our part from step 76 and holding it with the pattern side up as opposed to this side. And what we're going to do is we've got our long side on this side like so, and we're going to plug that piece into there and this piece into there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this into there. It's going to be difficult to do because it is a tight fit, but just manipulating these muscles, moving it backwards and forwards, there we go. So just keep maneuvering it round until you've got a hole. If you had it, for example, that, you can see the black part through the hole. So just keep manipulating it. And there we go. It will line up home eventually. You can also look through there. There we go. So there's the hole. You can see all the way through, look. So the next step then, step 12, we want to take our arm joint, part 9, and what you'll notice is that this has got a couple of smooth sides on it. I don't know if you can see how they've been flattened, and then you've got some flat sides in there. That will just simply go home there like so, and if you put it in the wrong way it won't fit. There's only one way that can connect. And then on to the next step, which is step 13, and what we want to do is take our PM 3x10mm screw, which is actually a hex screw, and we're going to turn the part over, and that's going to go in there like so. So what I need to do now is just find a hex screw bit. Sorry, I wasn't preparing myself for this. And what we will do is we will just tighten this in as tightly as we can, and you see it's trying to push that pin out as I push. That just knows that we've engaged it, and then as we screw, that piece there is pulling inwards. There we go. And then what we can do is we can test this piece. It's probably going to be really stiff. It is very stiff. Extremely stiff. Too stiff for me, actually. Right, so let's unloosen this a little bit. There we go. So what happened there was I tightened it too much. So what you need to do is, let's loosen it right off, and there we can see that moves really easily. This is something that I've talked about before in other issues. You need to find a balance. That moves in fact actually that's probably fine. So if you tighten it up really hard, what it's doing is it's actually clamping the parts in the middle, and you see there I can't move it. So you need to find a part. Now I would suggest that you find a strength where it's difficult to move, because you've got to remember, once we've got this piece on, we're going to be moving it with that, and that will act as a lever, and that will make it easier to move. If we had this just right here, when we come to have the rest of the arm on, it'll just be too easy to do. So have this so it's just slightly beyond comfortable, and I would say for me that's quite hard work for me. So I would say that's just right, and this piece has fallen off again. So that's that piece done, and that is actually stage complete. So we have oh sorry, no, I beg your pardon, we've left a stage out. So step 14 is we have this piece 7910. That's going to go over there, just to cover that screw up. Now what's handy is that we will still have access to that screw, even though we're covering it up with a cover. So that's the test fit, and that's a really good test fit actually. That's so good I can't get the part out. So there we go. So what we want to do now then is just apply a little super glue to those pegs. Just a small dab there, and then we can glue that in. You see there's two holes in there. There. And then that's the stage complete. So that's the upper arm. Yeah, that's the upper arm. So this is going to be the elbow here, this is going to be the shoulder, and then obviously there'll be a piece of an arm coming down here which will connect to the fingers, of which we now have two. Okay guys, so that's that then, and I hope you'll catch me in the next issue. Now the next issue we will be sorry, just going through the magazine, we will be continuing to assemble the left forearm and hand. So I hope to catch you then guys. Take care, bye bye.